Hola, mis amigos. I am thrilled to share with you your first big lesson on present tense verbs in español, el presente del indicativo. So that's the name of the tense that we call the basic present tense in Spanish. And we're going to start out with infinitivos AR, with AR infinitives, AR verbs. So let's start that conversation by addressing this question. ¿Qué es un infinitivo? What is an infinitive? Well, hay tres tipos de infinitivos en español. We have three types of infinitives in Spanish, super simple. We have AR, ER, and IR verbs. Just those three types to remember. Ejemplos de infinitivos en inglés. What is an infinitive like in English, by the way, if you don't know that, and it's fine if you don't already know that. The infinitive form in English is to run, to play, to see, to do. It's really the most simple, basic form of a verb, to take some kind of action. That's what an infinitive is in English. So in looking at some examples of actual infinitives in Espanol, keeping in mind they end in AR, ER, or IR. So a couple examples are ser, hablar, hacer, vivir. And those are all verbs that we'll be familiar with by the end of the semester, but we're starting out very simply, super slow, just with our AR verbs. Okay? So before we jump too far into that, I'd like to quickly review our pronombres de sujeto. You've seen these before in dealing with ser, but they are super important to review. And, you know, I see students kind of work too hard on the wrong things sometimes. This is definitely something to work hard on. It's really important to know what these words mean. That I is yo, that the you informal is tú with an accent mark. Él, ella, usted for he, she, and you. Remembering the accent on él. Remembering that ella is pronounced ella and we don't say the L. Nosotros, nosotras for the masculine and feminine forms of we. Vosotros and vosotras, if you're interested in using the you all formal, this is available to you, but I don't grade it or hold you accountable for it since it's used in one of over 20 Spanish-speaking countries. Even though I love that country, I try to be efficient in where we focus. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes, ellos and ellas both mean they, and then ustedes means you all. Really important to have that straight before moving on. So if you're ready to do that moving on, then let's do it. El presente del indicativo, the present tense in español. So let's start with an infinitive, and I'm just giving you this information now that bailar means to dance. So if we want to take to dance and make it agree with different subjects so that we can say things like I dance, or he dances, or we dance, you start by dropping the AR, and then we'll add on a special ending that I'm going to teach you. So for now, we just start with B-A-I-L. We've taken bailar and we've dropped the AR. And now we're going to prepare to learn the endings to make bailar agree with different subjects. So for example, if you want to make it agree with the yo form, it becomes bailo. The tú form, bailas. Él, ella, usted, baila. Nosotros, nosotras, bailamos. Vosotros, vosotras bailáis, and ellos, ellas, ustedes bailan. How did we get here? We started with the basic infinitive, bailar. We dropped the AR, and we had bail all the way through, and now we're adding on the appropriate endings. So in summary, the AR endings in the present tense are o, as, a, amos, ais, ang. And you see them applied here. O, as, a, amos, ais, ang. Maybe you'd like to repeat that to yourself frequently. Maybe you'd like to put it to a rhythm or make up a little dance. O, as, a, amos, ais, ang. The exciting news is that these simple endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, ang, will apply to any AR verb that is regular that you want to express in the present tense. So bailar is just one example of how many verbs will work, which is super exciting. And we're going to get lots of practice with this. So if it's brand new to you, just keep rolling with it, keep smiling and nodding, and take in what I'm sharing with you. So what does this really mean? Well, bailo can mean I dance or I am dancing. Note that it's just one little word that can mean multiple words in English. One word in Spanish, but multiple words in the meaning in English. Bailas, you dance, you are dancing. Baila, she dances, she is dancing. Bailamos, we dance, we are dancing. Bailan, same kind of structure. I also want to show you how it shows up in the question form. Just this one little word is a question in Spanish. Bailas expresses, are you dancing? Do you dance? This is why it's really important to avoid trying to translate things word for word. Because if you think about something in English, are you dancing? And you try to figure out are, and then figure out you, and then look up the word for dancing. What you generate is going to be really far from just the simple word, are you dancing? So, bailas. So focus on how we're learning how to do things. Focus on subject-verb agreement, and the things that I ask you to do in the course will be very simple and attainable. I promise. So, does he dance? Is he dancing? All that is just expressed in this one little word, baila, just putting bailar in the he form, in the el form. So we'll get more familiar and comfortable with this as we go. So here's some important things to keep in mind. Ojo, importante, important stuff when using verbs. We don't conjugate two verbs in a row. If you see yourself conjugating two verbs in a row, something is wrong. Conjugated means not in the AR, ER, IR form, okay? Conjugated means with the ending on, like o, as, a, amos, ang, that we just learned. Conjugated means it agrees with the subject. We do use conjugated verb plus infinitive structure sometimes if we need to. So, deseo descansar, for example. I want to rest. You note that the first verb is conjugated. It ends in O, yo form, but the second verb is in the infinitive form. It ends in AR. So that's okay to do, but we don't conjugate two in a row. Like you couldn't say deseo descanso. Instead, it's I want to rest. Deseo descansar. Necesitamos trabajar. Conjugated form, that's the we form, and then followed by the infinitive. So that's not going to be how it is in every sentence, but that is an allowable structure. So we're just looking at things that are good to know right now. We do have multiple conjugated verbs in a sentence if they are separated, and they might be separated by commas, they might be separated by a conjunction. So here's a great example. Yo estudio, coma, practico y trabajo en la universidad. All three of those are conjugated. They agree with the yo form. They can all be conjugated in the same sentence because they are separated. There's a comma here. There's the word and here. So that's how it works. Juan baila y canta en la banda. We've got two conjugated verbs for what Juan does. He dances and sings in the band. Go Juan. That's very exciting. Bien, other good stuff to know. Negative words go before the verb. For example, no somos de Francia. We are not from France. Elisa no descansa mucho los lunes. Elisa does not rest much on Mondays. In both of these examples, there's a negative word before the verb. Okay? So that's a good practice to keep in mind as well. Subject pronouns are often optional. This is so cool. So since the the ending in O tells you it's the yo form, you can either put yo out in front or not. Both are correct. So you could say yo escucho música or just escucho música. Those are equally correct options. Similarly, you could say nosotros regresamos, we return, or you can just say regresamos, because subject pronouns are often optional, ¿verdad? Sometimes you need them to clarify, especially like in the él, ella, usted form, or the ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms. But if it's clear who you're talking about, then the subject pronoun is optional. So you're probably feeling pretty empowered, right? And pretty excited that you have these basic endings, and you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, if I just knew a whole bunch of AR verbs, I could express all kinds of cool stuff. I could conquer the world. Well, never fear. Here we go. These are the infinitivos that end in AR that you need to know. They're on page 38 in your textbook. And yes, it's a bit of a list, but it gives you a whole lot that you're able to communicate. Several of them are really close cognates to English. For example, conversar, to talk. That's a pretty easy one to remember. Estudiar, to study. That makes sense. Preparar, to prepare. So as you start to get to know these, you'll be more and more comfortable with them, and we are going to use them a lot. We are going to use them until the very end of our course and then beyond if you keep studying Spanish. So start to chunk these in. Don't try to learn the whole list at once. Bring in 3 or 4 at a time and learn them for your long-term retention in that way. That's a really good way to go about it. Let's do a quick little practice. Feel free to have any of your notes in front of you when you do this, and let's just start to get to know how to use some of these verbs that we've learned. So filling in the blanks, yo, use the verb to take. 4 clases este semestre. Mis amigos, we're going to use the verb to listen. Música, cuando, and then to study. And then tres with to travel, and cuatro using to look for. So always think about the meaning of the infinitive first, and then think about how to make that infinitive agree with the given subject. So we've got yo, we've got mis amigos, we've got tú, and we've got mi padre y yo. So you can pause the presentation for a moment and work those through, and then the answers are on the next slide. So the big reveal, yo tomo. Mis amigos escuchan música cuando estudian. Tú viajas frecuentemente, and mi padre y yo buscamos. So hopefully that's a good little introduction for you regarding AR verbs. We're going to be getting in lots of practice with these, so make sure you're learning the meanings of the infinitivos, keeping in mind the endings o, as, a, amos, ang, getting in good practice, and as always, I'm here for you if you have questions. Muchas gracias y buena suerte.